Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday Sports Special. A very pleasant afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are, and good evening, even depending on where you are. It's our Saturday Sports Special. And as usual, my co-host is Rudian Sylvan in Toronto, Canada. And hopefully soon we'll have a former NBA basketballer, Larry Sanders, who will be joining us to speak about coaching clinic, camp, whatever you want to call it, that will be taking place in Grenada sometime next week over 2 days. And it's good to see that, we are having these professional sportsmen and sportswomen returning to Grenada. Well, when I say returning, going to Grenada in particular, because normally Rudian will agree that you will hear that is going to Trinidad or Barbados or Jamaica, but Grenada is getting it. Let me say good afternoon to you, Rudian.
My pleasure. Good afternoon to you, Michael. It's good to see you, and a happy 4th to you, or happy long weekend, or happy Independence. Certainly one of the three. But surely you are certainly right. When you hear of NBA players, NFL players, even some football players, you hear of the other islands. We really don't hear about Grenada. So certainly, like I said, the name Grenada and what we as a people is doing is we are opening up opportunities and making our name feel known on the world stage so that people feel comfortable, to come to Grenada. And it's something we hear all the time. The love and the warm welcome they get when they're in Grenada. People want to come to Grenada, so the word is spreading around the globe. So to see that is a good thing for us.
Right. So I think Mr. Sanders, Larry Sanders, is joining us. I believe he is in Arizona, so his time zone may be a bit different. That's correct, Larry?
Yes, I'm in Arizona.
Right. Oh, that's the desert.
Yes.
Yeah. But first off, I want to thank you for accepting the invitation. Well, I mean, through the Kellon Baptiste Foundation. That's one. And on behalf of Grenada, I want to say thank you for making a trip to Grenada, because just before you came on, we were saying normally folks like you, the Larry Sanders and others, but you say Larry Sanders the second, so we'll get a little more into that. We'll probably go to a Jamaica or Barbados, where the resorts, etc., etc. Not to say Grenada doesn't have those things, but normally Grenada is sort of left off. So I want to thank you on behalf of Grenada for accepting whatever offer or invitation that was made to you to go to Grenada, and I'm certain you will encounter some very enthusiastic kids and others that you may regret 2 days, and you may have to say, guys, I will have to do that probably another time and probably put it for a week, right? Because I am telling you, just from the reaction from I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a similar workshop there. And just from the videos and the photos I think I saw, those kids are hungry for that sort of thing. So thank you very much, Larry, and welcome. And first off, let's hear a little more about Larry Sanders. I put in my introduction, former NBA star, played with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavs. But give us a little more about Larry Sanders.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you. And I'm really excited to come to Grenada. I've been to St. Lucia before. So I've spent some time in the Caribbean a little bit and been to some islands, but I'm really excited. I went to Egypt, had a camp out there about a month ago, and so I'm really investing in the youth right now and trying to get my message to the youth about mental health, working hard, all these things that make you a great basketball player also translate into just being a great person. Good at excelling in business and whatever you want to do. You can take the attributes that you learn at my camp and apply it to anything you want to do in life. And that's my goal and what I'm creating. A lot of what I do is around support. It's around mental health. It's around community and creating a sense of community for kids, for athletes, for those who are suffering with mental illness. Um, that's my mission. I grew up very, very humble beginnings. My mom and dad split when I was young, and we lived in a lot of battered women's shelters. So, from living in my car when I was a kid to living in shelters, I grew up in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is, all they paved some roads now, but I grew up on all dirt roads in the woods. No shoes, no shirt, and as I got older and I visited a lot of these countries like Grenada and these third world countries, or they remind me a lot of where I'm from in Fort Pierce, Florida. I see myself in these kids. I was that same kid, that didn't have jeans and didn't have clothes to wear to school. A lot of my holidays were sponsored by people who wanted to give, Salvation Army, Goodwill. This is how I got my clothing. This is how I got my, so I'm a product of someone giving back. I'm a product of that. That's how I got to the NBA, was because people wanted to give back to me, and it kept me alive, and it kept me going as a youth, and it instilled in me a mission to always give back, and knowing the value of the little things. So I retired when I was young. I was 26. I was the marquee player for the Bucks. I was the most paid player on the team at the time when I retired. And I was on my way to stardom. I was on my way to being an NBA All-Star. And I took a left turn because the things I was dealing with, and I didn't have the support. I didn't have the support system. I didn't have the understanding, the financial literacy. So I found myself in the dark a lot, even though I had all this money and all this fame. And, like I said, I was excelling on the court. Off the court, my life was unmanageable. And I've been working to fix that ever since. And the way I'm fixing it is creating something for others, so they won't have to suffer and they won't have to deal with some of the same issues I dealt with. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about my story and my mission. And man, like I said, I'm super excited to come out there and spend some time with the kids and spend some time with everyone out there. And you guys can kind of see how I do my camps, which I'm super excited about. I'm really hands-on. I love just interacting with the kids. So I just look forward to having a really good time.
Okay. Let me introduce you to my co-host who is in Toronto in Canada, Rudian Sylvan. Certainly listening to Larry Rudian. A lot of what he's saying is basically striking home to, folks in Grenada.
No, most definitely. Not some of the things, but anyway, let me Mr. Larry, it's a pleasure to have you on. Certainly, when I hear your story, some of the greatest players in sports out there come from your story.
Right.
They come from that background. They come from the mom alone, or they come from the struggle. Even though they had both parents, there was a struggle. Because you have seen, being in America, the struggle for Black people. And to see the growth today, to see how the players now is giving back. Certainly, I like the idea that you didn't shut down. You didn't get yourself in a dark place. You put your head up, and you continue on, and it's your way now to giving back. This is a positive way. Most of the things that we do being out here, we always give back. I'm coaching a lot of the younger kids today who parents don't have it. They don't have it. But what we're gonna do? We're gonna say no to them. We
Right.
can't, because then they're gonna get themselves, later on they can be in the jail or they can be in the grave. So we have to make, do these things. We have to leave that legacy behind. We have to leave that foundation behind as well. That the kids, that there is some way to go. There's always a place to go. There's always a place for them to go. But certainly, I am extremely proud. I know you, in terms of seeing your career going on. You were drafted 15th in the first round to the Milwaukee Bucks. So certainly, I've seen you played. I've seen what you have done on the court, and I'm super excited to see what you do outside of the court now in terms of giving back, and especially in my country. Um, I am excited. I'm excited. And saying many people were saying earlier on, so many people who is not from Grenada is coming back and giving back to Grenada. That means we are doing something. And certainly, as Michael said, that when you do come in, um, you may want to stay longer, or you may want to go and turn around and come back, because you're coming to a place of love, and you're coming to a place of kindness and joyfulness. In spite of how the situation is, the people are always happy and always joyful. So this is something you're coming into. So like I said, you may want to even buy a house there. So don't be surprised that you might change from Florida to Grenada. um, Certainly. But yeah, but I'm really forward, like I said, looking forward to see your program, see what you're doing. And even though I'm here, we always get information. I could always take some tips from what you are doing to help me out here with those kids as well. So I'll be tuning in, I'll be watching. I know they're going to be having the thing posted, so I'll be watching, I'll be listening to what you're doing. So thank you again for what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
All right. Yeah. So, Larry, tell us now, when you get into Grenada, what you expect to do in Grenada. I know you'll be working along with some others as well. You may have some assistant coaches, etc. So, tell us what the program will be like.
Yeah. So we will start with the intro. We will get the kids warmed up and ready. We go do skill work first. Just basic dribble, passing and shooting, just fundamental stuff. And that's big in my camps. It's just the little things. I like to focus on the little things so that they can build on top of those. I separate them. We get into skill work, and then we play. It's competition time. So um, just excited about giving them little tips here and there. A lot of what I do show them are college and pro level stuff. I've breaking it down a little bit for the youth, but if applied right and practiced, it will give them pro level abilities. So I'm excited about that. Um, you guys are right about me only being there for 2 days, after really doing my research. And I'm like, so a little bit about me as well. I want to be an oceanographer as a kid. I wanted to be a marine biologist. And before I was 12, I had been on, 6 or 7 submarines. So the fact that you guys have an underwater um,
Sculpture Park.
sculpture park,
Culture Park.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. So I definitely wanted to view that and just really get a feel for the culture, the food. I know I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm a tropical kid growing up in Florida, so
Mhm.
even being out here in the desert in Arizona, it's like tough, man. No ocean, no ocean breeze, no water. So I'm really looking forward to being on the island and enjoying the people.
Okay. Um, One of the things I will want you to remember because you definitely will meet some of the officials in Grenada. When I say officials, in terms of minister, etc., that the need, and Rudian certainly will agree with me, the need for proper facilities for basketball. We have been talking a lot about the indoor arena, and you will see the level of talent that's there, that you believe that they need something, of a higher standard, right?
Definitely.
I know they have been tossing, the idea, but I think you go into Grenada, you should be able to leverage with the Chiron, Baptiste, and others to ensure that our politicians, the minister, and the others understand the need for that. A multi-purpose, arena that can basketball and, um, netball and, volleyball and etc. etc. Because you come into the island, you go into the island there, certainly is another level for basketball in Grenada in terms of training, etc., etc. Right? Because as I said, only a few weeks ago, we had some former Grenadian basketballers and some, I think, was coaches from colleges and things. Now you are at the level of a former NBA player. You are also coaching youngsters in the US, etc., etc. So certainly they're moving from one level to another. So they will be very receptive, I'm certain, about what sort of message you bring in. And that is one of the things I want you to sell to them, right? The need for proper facilities to ensure that, our kids can, evolve into what you want to bring them into. What do you say? Professional athletes. Now, one of the things that they spoke about is the whole issue of leadership, discipline, and resilience. Tell me why that is so important in sports these days. Because while it might be you're doing a basketball clinic, I'm certain some of those qualities can still be applied in other sporting disciplines like track and field, which Rudian is involved in, and football, well, they call it soccer in North America, and other sporting disciplines. But tell me why these leadership, discipline, and resilience.
Yeah, well, I'm big on leadership. Leadership is huge for me. That's one of my number one focal points, and even teaching people about leadership, because sometimes leadership can seem like you're bossing people around, or you're making demands, or you're pointing and telling people what to do, which is not leadership. Leadership is it starts with caring. That's what I teach. Is the first rule to leadership is, if they don't feel like you care about them, they won't follow you. So most leaders have to come to the relationship offering something, right? Ear, some sort of concern. That's the initial approach of a leader, is to come and establish that you do care. So I'm huge on that. I'm huge on leading in silence. That's a army general's number one rule, is that they lead in silence, so that they can go into war and go to battle and not have to say one word, and their team knows exactly what to do. Those are the best leaders. So that's super important, leadership. And you don't have to be the best player on the court to be the leader.
Mm-hmm.
No. Which is huge, because every college team, every NBA team, they're all looking for leaders. Sometimes the leader isn't the best player on the team, so that's something important to remember. Resilience is big, because there are going to be times where you don't feel like getting up. There are going to be times where you don't feel like practicing. There are going to be times where your body's sore. There's going to be times where you feel sick and you just want to play the video game, or you just want to go outside with your friends. And you have to be resilient. You have to stick to the course and understand that repetition is the father of learning. So you have to repetitively do things over and over and over and over and over, and it can be mundane and it can be boring, but that is the father of learning, and that's how you get better. So being resilient, getting through those boring, hard times, and sticking with it. And the last one was what? I'm sorry, you said leadership, resilience, and
Discipline.
and
Discipline.
discipline. Oh, and discipline. I mean, you can't do anything without discipline. I
Yeah.
mean, to this day, I'm not an athlete, but I wake up between 5 to 6 o'clock every day. I work out every morning. I do red light therapy. I get into cryo or the cold plunge, and man, it doesn't feel good all the time. Like getting up early, but you get yourself disciplined, and then it does start to feel good. You get past, I always say, like 10 days. You get past the first 10 days, and you're consistent with it, and then it starts to feel good. So discipline is huge. You can't you can't do any of these things without discipline. And self-discipline is what takes you over the edge. Being disciplined when the coach is yelling at you, and that's good. But self-discipline, when you're disciplining yourself when no one's around and it's just you, that is what takes you to the next level.
Um, one of the things that I wanted, to you to speak about is that during your time in NBA career, were there moments, and I know you just talk about the whole issue of being resilient, being disciplined, etc. There were times when you wanted to just give up all of a sudden. I mean, give up playing basketball, move on to something else.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, I started playing basketball late. I didn't start playing seriously until I was 15. Played on my first basketball team when I was 15 years old. I played 1 year AAU basketball going into my senior year. And within 6 years of playing basketball, I was in the NBA. It happened that fast, so quick. Um, and I love basketball, but I grew up as an entrepreneur. I grew up having my own lawn service and selling cookies and snacks out of my book bag. And, my dad always taught me how to make money. And I never saw him work a day in my life. He never worked for anybody. He never got up and went to work. He was retired twice before he had me. And I think that kind of instilled something in me. So when I got to the highest level in the NBA, which is amazing, and I'm grateful for it, but you have a boss, you have an owner, you have a manager, you have a agent, you have all these people over you who have an idea of what you should and shouldn't be doing. And that didn't sit right with me, honestly. I have a boss mindset. I need to have my destiny in my own hands. And so I left and been creating for myself ever since. And I'll tell you, for me personally, that was the best decision I could have ever made, because I'm more of a creative and I'm more of a business owner and a boss than I am a employee. And that's just me personally.
Mm. Rudian?
Yeah, let me just take another turn and talk about the mental part of your program. In terms of mental program is a big thing. So when you come to the kids, what level of mental do you really deal with?
Yeah, so I teach them about anxiety. I teach them about depression. Just some of these things these words that kind of are frightening or people don't understand what they are. So I teach them a little bit about that and how they can relate to it. Because education is huge. I think that sometimes you can attach a meaning to a word, a definition. It can really help you to understand what you're going through, what somebody you love may be going through. Um, I'm big on education. So I just educate them a little bit about terminology.
Okay, that's very good because I know it's challenging, especially in this generation today. Um, you know, kids, they get intimidated, and that's a mental issue right there. Even even sometimes when coaches speak to them, they just shut down. That's also a mental thing there. So certainly, it's something that is very serious. I've seen it firsthand. I'm seeing it. So you adding that to your program or making it a big part of your program is a very important thing.
Right. And
Yeah.
going back to that too, if
Mm.
honestly, if a coach is talking to a player and the player shuts down, that coach probably needs to evaluate his leadership, because that player does not believe that the coach cares enough about him. That's why it shut down. So
Okay.
the coach probably needs to spend some time with that player and on a personal note and connect in a different way.
Mhm. Larry, and while we're on that, were there ever any moment you thought about returning to the NBA?
I did. I retired initially. I retired for 2 years, and then I came back and played for Cleveland. So and then from there, I played overseas in Taiwan and in the Dominican Republic last year for my first. That was my first time ever going overseas. But it was a great experience. I had to experience it. And Taiwan was a beautiful place. Um, so I played here and there since I retired. But like I was saying earlier, I really love entrepreneurship. I really love business. I love what I'm doing outside of basketball. So and, that takes a lot of time and dedication. You can't just fall into the NBA. That it needs to be what you do when waking up and going to sleep. And my time isn't kind of divided like that anymore. My focus is I have a huge family. I got a lot of different endeavors. have my camps that I do almost every month. So my energy is just in other places right now.
Um, I was told that you know Ethan Thomas, right? Ethan, in fact, Ethan and his son Malcolm, they were in Grenada during the last camp. They were among those who were there. You familiar with Ethan?
Yeah, I know who he is for sure. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is.
Personally, yeah, the name sounds familiar, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
because the former NBA player himself. Talk about the that mental health book. I think you will be launching when at the camp next week.
So the book isn't mental health based. It's for student athletes. It's personal, business, and financial development. So it starts. It's a 3-week course. There's something to do every single day for 3 weeks. And the first week is personal development. So that's just developing your story, your brand, social media. When to post on social media. I talk about AI a little bit in there and how to use AI to develop your brand. Understanding your audience, who you're talking to, and how to create information and brand campaigns for your specific audience, how to grow your audience um, on social media. And then I go into business development, networking, leadership, understanding business, different aspects and components of an advertisement company I break down for them. And then we get to financial literacy, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, ways to grow your money, budgeting, management. I have a budgeting worksheet for them and within my book. So yeah, it's 3 weeks of personal, business, and financial development for student athletes.
Student athletes.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Well, at the end of that camp, the participants should be leaving sort of well grounded and all round, right? Because it's not all about just the technical aspect about basketball, playing basketball, but
Right.
um, the technical, but then there are so many other things that you're trying to impart on them, which, by the way, are very important and sort of becoming even increasingly important at a very early age.
Yeah.
You spoke about um, getting involved in basketball, start playing basketball at a very late age, 15.
Mhm.
You know, some people will say, wow, that, for some of them, that's an early age, Rudian. Some people will
Yeah.
say that's a very early age, depending on where you go, and things like that. So, but I guess as much the ensuring that these kids at a very early age, and probably what you may have missed out in your time, you want to ensure that they don't miss out, because you said you started very late, and then all the struggles you had, etc. You want to ensure that kids don't have to go through that, this sort of struggle and things like that. So
For sure. For sure.
yeah. Oh, Simone. Thanks very much, Simone. She agreed with Larry, and I know Simone will be one of them who probably will be there with her son. you know, with her son. She's very supportive of our sports in particular. But so getting back, I asked you about who are some of the folks that you'll be traveling to Grenada. I didn't think you mentioned names. You yet to mention who are some of the folks that will be accompanying you.
Mhm. Oh yeah, my I work with Susan Wright, who is a part of Fifth Element Foundation, and
I did that.
we do a lot of great things together. We've done camps together before, so I'm excited. She's from Grenada. She's from there, so
Oh,
she was a huge a huge reason why I did come was because she was like, "Hey, this is where I'm from. Come, let's do this camp." And my mind, I'm all over the place. So as soon as she told me, I'm like, "Let's do it. Let's figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Let's get it done.
yeah.
Let's get
Well,
some."
she's good at that. Means she's good at marketing. She
Oh,
sold you
she's
that.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
She's great. She's great. She's good at everything. She's pretty talented. And then I will be coming with Melanie, who I work with directly as well. We're writing a book together right now, actually, and she's from Trinidad. She's from Trinidad. So got some auditors in the building. Yes, sir. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun, man. Everyone
Yeah,
else I'm looking forward to meeting. Brittany also. Brittany is Susan's daughter, and she'll be there with me as well, doing a lot of social media stuff. She worked behind the scenes and making sure the kids got, their trophies and everything that we're going to provide for the kids. So she, she's the catalyst on that. So everyone's just in conjunction to make sure that we're able to be our best and give you guys exactly what you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm laughing. That's a Caribbean connection,
Oh
whether
yeah,
from Grenada, from Trinidad, That's so they were able to sell like that. All right. Yeah. So and Simone says she will be there. I know that. I didn't have to talk about that because I know even if you don't invite Simone, she will be there. Yeah. What's about before I ask you that question in particular? Tell me a little more about your foundation, the Sanders House Foundation.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right. So it was the umbrella's mental health, but we do anti-bullying, we do nutrition, we do storytelling as well. There's a journaling aspect where I teach the kids about journaling and the power of writing your thoughts down. So there's all different kind of components to it but it's all under the umbrella of mental health pretty much. And making sure they have that stable foundation, creating community, like I said, giving them a voice. Sometimes just having a voice as a child means everything. A lot of these kids don't have a voice and they don't know what their voice is. So helping them find their voice, telling their story, finding the uniqueness of their story and what makes them different. Because sometimes we feel like our stories and our upbringing can hold us back, but it's really our battery. It's your personal story, so you have to learn how to use it. And yeah, so that's a lot of what I do, and with the youth, and like I said, a lot of terminology stuff. So teaching them about language and what things actually mean is huge. So yeah.
Will your foundation be searching for talent while in Grenada?
Oh, for sure, for sure. We're always looking for talent, and I have youth that I still speak to from Egypt. We all follow each other on Instagram, so it's constantly and I look forward to seeing them progress. So I'll be in contact with you guys, and I want footage and videos of these kids actually trying and implementing what I'm teaching them because they are going to get better. They are going to get better if they do apply themselves.
Coach Paul McIntyre is saying, Larry, we welcome you and look forward to hear more about the importance of team defense.
Oh yeah,
how important it is.
Oh, that's big. That's big for me too. I'm big on defense. I was a defensive player when I played in the NBA. That's where I lay my hat. So it's going to be a lot of defense, a lot of positioning and defensive drills, and yeah, I plan to make some defensive monsters this weekend. Some Larry Sanderses.
Yeah, that's looking for. So, Coach McIntyre, you got that there. He was big on defense, so certainly looking forward to that. And I am certain that you may find, some parents and others may have more interest in even their kids, based on what you're saying, they'll have a lot of interest in that because, they know the importance of getting well grounded, especially where scholarships are becoming so competitive. Like you, for example, you're talking about, and these days, remember, you don't necessarily have to travel to Egypt, for example, to look for talent. Guys can send you, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, they can send you those things and you can evaluate, you can monitor, you can monitor progress, all of these things because of technology. While we're on that, how important do you see, because you mentioned social media, how important you see social media for these young talents and what it is you'll be letting them know about the use of social media in terms of furthering their career in the sport of basketball?
Yeah, no, that's great. Social media is huge. It's something that I didn't have growing up. That if I did, I think that it would have been a lot more opportunities for me, and that's why I wrote this ebook. It's for getting NIL deals. It's for branding yourself. It's for becoming a business and understanding the business of becoming a business. That's an NBA player. An NBA player is a business, within themselves, and they have to conduct themselves like a business. So understanding that stuff early, that's what this book talks about. Um, and yeah, it's huge. Social media is huge. It's such a tool because I used to have to make a video, make a DVD or make a tape and send it out to college coaches. My coach had to make a DVD or make a video and send it out, and that's how coaches saw you. And now it's as easy as a scroll with your thumb. So I talk about when to post, how to connect it to your story, and all this gains followers and gains attention and traction, so that you can be valuable as a brand, as well as a basketball player or football player or soccer player.
Coach McIntyre is saying, hope we can talk also about indoor facility on the island. Well, Coach, don't worry about that. I already, whisper to Larry Sanders about the indoor facility. So when he comes, he will be talking about it. I already whispered that to him. We're not hiding about that. We need it, okay? So we'll be talking about it. He'll see the need to have that. Rudian?
Do you have any other NBA players, that you look for support to work with the kids through your foundation?
Yeah, I
And
do.
and who are those players?
Josh Powell,
Okay.
he played for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I have a lot of guys that I'm in contact with. It's all about timing, with
Yeah.
guys because they're busy. Trevor Ariza, he's an Islander. He's an island guy. He's from Turks, I believe. Byron Mullins, he played for Oklahoma City. He's a friend of mine. We're actually doing a project right now, a documentary series we're doing right now. So I still work with a lot of players, still, talk to them a lot. And they kind of, I retired young, so a lot of my peers who I got into the NBA with, they're still either in the NBA or they're just
We're just finishing up. Yeah, we're just finishing up. Yeah.
So now they're calling me like, yo, how we do this? And I love it. I'm able to kind of help them transition a little bit and, offer some opportunities as far as things that I'm doing. Like, hey, man, let's get into this. Let's get into film. Let's get into editing. Let's do some music. Just kind of explore what they might really want to do after the game. And then yeah, just help them transition.
Talking about transition, you dabble a bit in music. I understood.
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah. So when I first left the NBA, I started like this artist house out in LA, and I had musicians and screenwriters and fashion designers, and I was personally doing music at the time. So I made this beat with some of the guys in my house, and man, Drake made a song to it, and he gave it to his artist, Party Next Door, and yeah, we went gold on it, and yeah, that was amazing. It was a huge blessing from God, and I think it was a confirmation. It was confirmation that, even though I just left the NBA, that I could do other things, and that I was making the right choice. So
what's this called? Party Next Door?
Yeah, it's Drake's art.
Yeah. I heard about what Don't Run was that particular track?
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah, and what is it? You were also a producer.
Yeah. Yeah, I produced on that one. I still produce. I still make beats and make music, but I'm more of do A&R stuff now a little bit. Just bringing artists together, putting them in the studio, doing a lot of collabs and stuff like that.
It's under the name of L8, I think. Why L8?
Late Show.
Oh, Lake Show. Okay.
Late Show. Yeah.
Right.
Late
Okay. No, I understand. Right. Yeah. I was looking up at some of the, basically, some folks will remember because that was 2012. Your career triple-double, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 10 blocks, even though your team lost to Minnesota. But you finished the season second in blocks per game behind Ibaka, and Ibaka was a top. So if you finish second there, I mean, you were among the tops.
I was first most of the year. I was
Yeah,
I was I was first most of the year, and he came in at the end because he played more games than me,
the
but
games in you. Yeah,
I had more blocks than him. So
right. And you also finished third in voting for the NBA Most Improved Player Award after Paul George and Vasquez. I mean, you were you know you were ranking among the top players junior period.
yes, sir.
And I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, I mean, Paul George still playing. Why
Yeah,
Larry not playing?
we got drafted together too. He was actually
They
my
get
draft.
drafted together. They got drafted together. Yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
Paul George.
Ball,
Yeah,
DeMarcus Cousins. But I got drafted with DeMarcus Cousins too. I
yeah,
oh,
got
okay, right.
guys that
yeah,
are,
yeah.
and it's like either I guess I saw so many guys stay in the NBA and make hundreds of millions of dollars and lose it all. So was that really the recipe? Is the recipe just to stay in this and just make a bunch of money and then go broke in 10 years? Miss the time that I have with my family, miss vital time that I could be using to do other things in life and can further my career in other ways. So without the education, without the financial literacy, without the foundation and the support system, the NBA is a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place to be. Any high level position like that, but the NBA in particular. So that goes back to why I'm creating what I'm creating. Is so that when kids do get to that level, they know the importance of financial literacy. They know the importance of understanding mental illness. They know the importance of business and personal development, as well as just basketball. And they're able to take their lives in their own hands. So that's just big for me. That's huge. Creating something that I know I needed when I played. But, like I said, I realized that a lot of guys didn't know how to manage their money. They didn't have the financial literacy. They could just play basketball. And then at the end of the road, a lot of guys were fighting for their jobs. It's like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't really graceful. It was fighting for their jobs until they couldn't get a job anymore, and then they wouldn't play it overseas, or it's just like I didn't want to be in the position where it was like I needed them more than they needed me. I didn't. it was, I, I didn't want them to just because one day they closed the door. That's how basketball works. It's you get better. They want younger, fresher talent. Yeah, you were all-star, but everyone has their exit, and I guess I wanted to take that on my own and dive in myself, and yeah, that was my choice, and like I said, it was the best one I could have made.
So, what advice would you have, Larry, for someone listening to you, whether it's a parent or a prospective, player who looking to probably break into the college circuit in the U.S.?
Mhm.
What sort of advice would you give them? First, as a player, and then as a parent.
Okay, yeah. As a player, I would say just work hard. Work hard and focus on yourself. That's one thing I did. I never thought about the college coaches or the NBA or who was looking at me. I knew that if I played and I worked hard and I killed everybody on the court and I played well, that they were going to find me. They're going to find me. Like I don't need to go find the college or the NBA scout or you. I just need to worry about how good am I going to be? How hard am I going to work? And they will find you. So that's one thing I would say. Work hard. Now with social media, post. Get your highlights up there. Post you working out. Post your training. Um, put yourself out there as a player. I would say, but the most important thing is your skill level. So put that work in. While you're doing things like watching TV or these things you do out through the day, practice then. Do some form shooting while every time a commercial comes on. Do some wall sits. It's the little things throughout the day that add up. So um, that's what I would tell a player. You got to use your time wisely, and there's a lot of time in the day. Um, as a parent, um, I would say support, but make it fun. You got to understand the coach is going to be on you. you got to be serious with the other players. You got to be, you know, a lot of times when kids lose that fun and that joy, it becomes like work. And how long do you want to work? You know, who wants to work? No one wants to. How long do you want to sit there and work? You want it to be fun. So sometimes that's the parent's job, is to bring light to it and bring fun to it, and not make it so serious, because it's serious to the coach, it's serious to the other players, it's serious to, you know, your child. Um, and sometimes you gotta make it fun.
Um, Good afternoon to Mr. Chenny Joseph in Grenada. He's asking, what was your typical day as first a student in high school and college before the opportunity arose? And what type of background did you experience growing up before making the cut and being selected? So let's look at a typical day for you as a student in high school and then college before you got onto the scene.
Yeah, a typical day for me in high school. You know, I was a typical high school student. Other than being, you know, extremely tall, and I was always into fashion, so very particular about like my clothing and, you know, my shoes and stuff like that. But yeah, I had a group of friends that I hung out with, and you know, yeah, I was a funny kid. I was a very social kid. Had a lot of friends, um, and yeah, I guess I've always been like that, and I've always been social, and I've always been you know, friendly in the sense. So um, once I started playing ball, of course you gain more attention and more friends and whatnot. But I was always who I was, and I had friends before ball, so a lot of those friends I still have to this day after basketball.
You
But
know,
college was kind of the same. You know, it's as a student athlete, I would say this though: you have to, you know, you got to balance your classwork and your athletics. Like you got to. That's the only way you're going to be able to play. Well, me personally, I was able to play was that I had you know, good grades. So just balancing that and prioritizing, you know, making sure you get your schoolwork done either right before or right after practice. You know, kind of putting things together, and then being self-disciplined was huge, you know, because the coach is not always looking, and your parents aren't always looking, and your teacher isn't always looking, but you know where you're trying to go and what you're trying to create for yourself. So you gotta do that homework. You gotta do that work. You gotta do things when no one's looking, you know.
I think Chenny may have missed from that part in the start, but you probably can just recap on the sort of background you experienced growing up before making it to the NBA.
Yeah, I grew up, like I was saying earlier, humble beginnings. My mom and dad split when I was young, so a lot of battered women's shelters, you know, in and out of car. Lived with my grandmother for a while, and you know, that was like my whole family lived under one roof. Uncles, aunties, cousins, like everybody. So I always had a big family. I always grew up with my family. So I'm a huge family person. Um, and that pretty much molds me too. That's my foundation. I always knew that, um, you know, it's kind of like my deciding factor when I left the NBA was that, you know, your kids are you're gonna be their hero if you're there for them. You know, it doesn't matter if I played in the NBA. It doesn't matter if I was an astronaut. It doesn't matter if your kids don't value more because of the world and how the world values you. Your kids value you because of how much you put into them, and how much you're there for them. So, um, you know, when I kind of understood that as well, it gave me fuel to make my decision, because not missing, you know, a lot of stuff for them means a lot to me. You know, my daughter dances and birthdays and holidays, and these are the times I want to be with my family. So that was huge for me as well.
Um, I was just, you know, browsing there and noticed that in your high school, in your senior year, you were 6'9".
Right.
has to be a tall guy in high
Yeah.
school, and
Yeah.
and why VCU? Because it appears from what I read is that you went to VCU, and then right after that, all these colleges and things start, showing interest in you.
Oh yeah.
But why VCU at the time?
Well, they were one of the first ones recruiting me. Their whole coaching staff came from Florida, and the whole recruiting class was from Florida at the time. They had Joey Rodriguez, who I had played against in high school. Lance Curse, who I played against in high school. He was in our district, who was a phenomenal player. These all are great players. Mick Brown, I played on the same AAU team as him. Who else? No, Willie didn't. It was Mick, Ed Nixon. So the whole starting five recruiting class was from Florida. So that was exciting. And then the whole coaching staff was from Florida. So that was exciting. And yeah, and then when I went on my visit to VCU, it was just something about it. It was like the grit and the grind, and it was a huge campus in the middle of the city of Richmond. A lot of Black people. Um, it was just really like something about it was like I want to go here. It appealed to me in a lot of ways, and it was great. I love VCU. My college experience was I wouldn't take that back for the world, man. I love it. I had a great experience at VCU. Kind of mad sometimes that I left early, which I would have finished out my senior year, man, because I was having so much fun. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, certainly. Virginia could do that to you.
Man, Virginia for
Yeah. The new NIL. When I say new NIL, what's your take on NIL now, especially for I mean, you gone past that in terms of college, etc., etc. But do you think it's good for college sports?
I think it's everything that's good has its pros and cons, right? So the good part is that they're providing stability for these kids early on. They're able to, make income. And when I was their age, it was all basketball, and you really couldn't have a job or do anything else because it would take away from your job, your craft. And even in college, like you literally couldn't have a job. Like it was against the rules to have a job while you played. So if you didn't have any money, like me, you were eating $20 pizzas every week, and you're scrabbling, and you're asking your roommates for $5-10 here and there. It was a tough position to be in, as a college kid. So I like that they're providing more for them, so they don't have to deal with this. On the flip side, being a kid with money is tough. I was a kid with money. I was 22 years old, 21 when I made my first $1 million, and that was a kid. I was too young. A lot of that I didn't know what to do with it. So, now they're getting this at 17, 16, 18 years old. I would just, go to my book, go to my book, and that's why I created it. It's like I want them to have the knowledge and understanding so that they can put their money in the right place, and they can brand themselves in the right way so that this is residual, right? This money is just going to keep coming forever, whether they continue to play basketball or not. You're going to be able to be financially set forever, and that's the point. So even with the NIL money, there's so much you can do with it to make sure you and your family is set forever. But without the education, you're just going to spend it. So I think that's good. I think it's good, but without the education, it can be dangerous.
Once again, Chenny is asking, who were your closest teammates in the NBA, and which players you dreaded the most? Chenny, come on. I don't think he created any enemies, but
My closest teammates when I played, Drew Gooden, Keon Dooling, um, uh, me and Giannis spent a lot of time together.
oh, Giannis.
What am I missing? Um, uh, yeah, I had some guys that were like more mentors.
Mhm.
Frank Ndongo. Um, I play with a bunch of guys though. Uh, a bunch of guys. Milwaukee was one of those places where we just a lot of guys came through there when I was playing. So um, yeah, I got some guys I'm pretty close with still. I still talk to. I talked to Keon like last week. Um, so yeah,
Right.
Dread. Yeah, I got some guys that I definitely would look forward to seeing them on the court because I just wanted to give them the business. But yeah,
I know. Yeah, that's I could imagine that, So do you think, Larry, I mean, you said you did some little research, etc., etc. Do you think not just Grenada, but the Caribbean as a whole, because certainly you would have heard about whether it's Jamaica, talent from Jamaica, the Bahamas, whatever, that they do have the talent that can make it into college and NBA basketball?
1,000%, 1,000%, because you're dealing with athletic people. You know what I mean? I could imagine the type of athletes that you have on your islands. I could just imagine. It's just the exposure is not there, right? The exposure, probably the resources, like a facility for them to actually train, because all of this matters, right? If you're going to breed professional athletes, then you're going to need a facility that they can train in. So I think resource wise, needs to catch up. The resources and the exposure need to catch up to the athletes.
Um, right. We have a question from Enel Saint Bernard. Well, Enel is going into Indiana State, right? In the state, and he's from Grenada, homebred Grenada. His question is, what do you think is the biggest difference maker for someone who is in college whose goal is the NBA?
The biggest difference maker, um, mindset, mindset, um, focus, and self-discipline. Mindset to block out the noise. Mindset to understand what's important, right? Um, Focus so that you can also block out the noise and really be and hone in on your craft, right? Because people are going to say this, and it's going to be a lot. Especially the better you get. The better you get, the more distractions. So the better you get, the more focused you be. And self-discipline, like holding yourself accountable when no one's looking, doing extra reps. Coach said do 12, do 15. Do 15 without anyone knowing. Do 15 and the coach doesn't know you did 15. It's not about the recognition. It's about your personal growth and your edge and what's going to take you over the top. So you got to be selfish. You just got to be selfish, and you got to think about things that others don't think about, and do it and implement it little by little, and it adds up. You don't build a mansion in a day. You lay a brick. You lay a brick, you go home, you go to sleep, you come back, you lay another brick perfectly. And before you know it, you don't lay so many bricks that you got a mansion. So that's how you do it. You gotta be very perfect with your brick laying. So if you're gonna do it today, do it perfectly. Leave it alone. Come back tomorrow.
And thank you, Enel. Enel, thanks very much for joining us as well. Larry, we getting close to time. You probably can give us a wrap. Rudian, you have anything to
No,
part
no, no.
with?
I'm good. I am just pleased with everything that I'm hearing. I'm really happy for the youths that you're going to encounter within Grenada. So certainly, super thanks, and you will surely enjoy it. You know, um,
Yeah, I
I
know.
say Grenada is the land of spice where everything is nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it is going to be nice. You have a good time engaging with the youths. It's the most important thing, and you're going to really enjoy that because that's what you like doing. When you're in a place where you like doing something, as a teacher who love teaching will be in the school at 6 o'clock in the morning. School starts at 9. They will be there that early because that's what they love, and
And
that's the
still
kind of
stay late.
passion you have. And
do
yeah,
again?
and still stay late. And still stay late. And that's why you just the information you just give to Elaine, is the same thing. Is the time you put in that nobody sees.
Right.
The importance, especially being in college, because in college there's a distraction. There is a big distraction in college, and certainly it's something that he's going to encounter in there. There's so much thing that's happening. There's so much the little things just build up in college. And I mean, my time is different. I went to University of Memphis. What happening then is different today. There is so much other things happening on campus that is a distraction. Find yourself on the court, stay focused, find yourself in the gym. Find yourself in your books, because your books mentally can help you.
Oh, yeah.
And keeping that focus. So certainly that's something that like I said, I love what I'm hearing from you. And I do thank you again. As a Grenadian, certainly thank you.
Yeah. Before you you make a wrap, Larry, I saw one comment with a question there from Chenny Joseph, which I think is important. Let me just squeeze it in. He says Larry needs to be told Grenada don't produce much guys over 6'3". Is height a major advantage playing this sport to gain on an advantage for recruitment? How important is height for basketball?
Basketball is definitely a tall man's game. Don't get me wrong, it's a tall man's game. But I also play with Earl Boykins. I don't know if you ever heard of Earl Boykins, but he's 5'6", 5'6", and he's one of the most phenomenal basketball players I've ever played with, ever. I mean, like I say, he's 5'6", and he played in the NBA for 14, 15 years. Just amazing, but he was very selfish. He worked super hard. He was always in the gym when you didn't know he was in the gym, late at night, early mornings, was incredibly strong. So what you lack in height, you got to make up in other areas. That's just how it works. You got to make up in other areas. And it's possible. It's very possible, especially at the college level. The NBA, it can get a little narrow. I mean, there's 400 guys in the NBA. There's only 5,000 NBA players in the history of time. In the history of the NBA, history of mankind, there's only been 5,000 of us. So the NBA is slim. I can't lie. I say it's easy way to get in. It's slim, but college is much wider. And like I said earlier too, every coach wants a leader. Every coach is looking for a leader. So sometimes being a leader, you can find someone that's 6'7", that doesn't have any leadership skills, and then someone's 6'2", but is a leader, and it depends on what you need for your team. You may need a leader. You may not need that 6'7" kid. So there are other attributes that coaches look for as well.
Yeah. So while you're there, give you the opportunity to give a wrap on what you're looking forward to in Grenada come next week. That 2-day camp in particular.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to coming out there and spending some time with the youth, getting some of that good nutmeg and that good cinnamon.
Spices. Little spices.
Yeah, I know. I did my research. Getting into that water, man, and just really spend some time with the culture. Get some great food. And I know it won't be my last time. I know it. So just looking forward to put some kind of footprint in there and get some stuff going with the youth, and hopefully having carryover, right? And building up some athletes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you. See you guys soon.
Hopefully we can follow up so we can talk a lot about your experience, right? Just before you leave us, I think there is one thing that they want to push out there for folks. Let me see. It's I think it's an idea of what it is you actually do. Let me see if I can get it. So let me get it again. Thank you, Fifth Element, for that little piece of promo there. And I realize you're doing a lot of, you'll be dealing with footwork as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We do
Yeah,
some
yeah,
footwork
footwork.
stuff.
Yeah, footwork, very important, right?
Very
Yeah,
important. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you once again, Larry. All the best, and
Thank you, man.
look forward
Thank you.
to hearing
Thank
from
you.
you.
Soon.
Enjoy
See you soon.
yourself with the data. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
thank you very much. All right, and yes, so that's Larry Sanders speaking to us live from Arizona. Certainly, Rudian. Um, mm, we have learned quite a bit, right? You will say.
No, most definitely. I think it's good. Be good for the youth. Like I said, there is a change that's happening. From and it's not the only camp that just happened. It's from one camp to the next to the next. So things are
Yeah,
moving when it comes to sports in Grenada. Changes is coming.
yeah.
Change is coming. Yeah,
And as Paul McIntyre was saying that we said earlier, we hope that he can also see if he can influence the
yeah.
decision makers about an indoor facility,
Indoor
right?
facility.
Because
Yeah,
if we are to
multi-purpose indoor
attract,
facility.
yes, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
multi-purpose. Yeah,
multi-purpose.
if we
Yeah,
are to attract more of the kind of the Larry Sanders and others, we should try to see if we, because it means that
yeah,
if you can get a Larry Sanders, it means that probably someday you might be able to get a college team. You might be able to get
yeah.
some more NBA players, former NBA players, to
Yep,
come
yep,
down,
yep. To come in
impact
because
him.
he will go
Yeah,
and spread the word.
that's the thing about it.
Yeah, he will
So
go and spread the word. Yeah,
so
so
I
he
think
will talk to
it's a good
some of
marketing
yeah,
ploy
yeah,
to for the authorities to look into that multi-purpose indoor facility, right? And I think he should be able to, sort of discuss with them the importance of having that. Rudian, before we go, um, what was it? Trials, national trials, yeah, interesting, by the way, today should be Prefontaine, right? We have
Prefontaine. Yeah,
Prefontaine this weekend, yeah.
Prefontaine is
But no,
good
it's a
today.
very,
Yeah,
very interesting trials for Jamaica. Um,
it it was it was a little disappointing to an extent. Um, I would have liked to see more of the athletes, more of the top tier, running the 200. And I think
yeah,
that's why I didn't get to see that. It would have been nice to see, especially with Jackson. We seem like the focus now is just the 100. Um, I'm excited that Jamaica could have a really good 4x1 team. I think they're going to do something for Shelly. Making it her last. I think they will really think about it and they'll give it their all. I really think if they made it to the finals, they will certainly do this one for her. I think they're gonna do it for her. So it's sad to see one of the twins going down.
oh yeah,
She was hurt because she was running hurt. It's part of the sport, unfortunately. To see Brianna fall start again is part of it. It's just how it is. We have seen top athletes,
Mhm. And
go down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it builds up for a very competitive World Championships later this year, right?
It
I
does.
was,
It does. It does.
yeah,
It does. It does.
that's
It does
very
build it up because, I mean, it's been a while when we could see three good competitors in the 100 meters for Jamaica for women, um, and that would be something to see. Shelly Jackson, and then
Well,
I don't know one of the Claytons.
then
Yeah.
remember you have Alfred from St. Lucia. You have
Yes. No, most definitely.
Carrie from the US,
Well,
right? So,
it's not a NACAC thing for me. This one is a Caribbean thing. You
so
know.
I am. So no, the women's.
Yeah.
I believe the
Yeah.
women's sprint will be probably
Will
one of the
be.
most
Yeah.
competitive.
Yes.
The women's
Yes.
sprint, if everyone stays healthy, right?
It
Because
would be. It will
it
be.
will be
It will be. Yeah.
people want to leave with a
Yeah.
bang, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I am saying that everyone will be hungry, right? It
And then
will
not
be
only that too. I mean, we have seen the 100 meters, which is a super fast time for the men. Um, that was fast. That was
yeah.
fast. And,
Well,
and I think his mindset is different from the
he should,
last games.
he should.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
his
yeah.
mindset is different from the
And
last game.
certainly,
So
certainly.
yeah,
Well, if if all goes well, we should see a sort of prelude to it, because today I think he should be lining
I
up
think he's
against
also lining up against
Coleman and
yeah.
Brovel and all of them.
Yeah.
Cricket. Second test in
Yes,
Grenada. A
yes.
decent crowd today. I looked at it. Despite
Yeah,
the
I wasn't.
off.
I was kind of,
But remember, I always
yeah,
tell folks, a test match is different to a T20 or
to a
whatever.
T20.
It
Yes,
is all about
that's the thing.
entertainment and
Entertainment. Yeah,
no.
yeah.
And a test match that started almost in the middle of the week, right? That's the other thing about it, right?
That's another thing about it. Yeah,
I've seen a better crowd based on what I
yeah,
saw on television than the few
yeah,
days these days. And it's expected me, despite the
yeah.
rain, etc. But the other thing about that, Rudian, is that don't be fooled by what you've seen on television regarding the cricket stadium. This cricket stadium is a massive cricket stadium. Right?
It is a massive stadium. It certainly is. It's a big. And I watched a few things that I didn't even know. I mean, I've been
I'm
in
telling
the
you,
stadium before. I've been in the stadium
go to
before,
an
and
stadium.
I'm like, this is a different stadium. This is not the
It's
same.
a massive facility, right?
Yeah, this is not the same.
So it's. I mean, I'm telling you, you can put a carnival event there, and you might be surprised that it's
That you
still
still
the
have
same.
room. Yeah, you still have room. You still have room. You still have
You have
room.
to understand
Yeah.
that context, because you have the open bleachers,
Yeah.
all of that.
But in spite of, but Michael, in all, the folks who love cricket love Grenada.
Yeah, you would
It
find it.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They will go Grenada over so many other places. They will go to Grenada.
There are folks who travel from
Yeah.
overseas, Grenadians who travel overseas.
Yeah.
For that test match.
For the test match, yeah. I see a few of them from New York. I see a few other people that I know. Yeah.
There are folks who came from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Because they follow cricket. And
they
probably may go to Jamaica too, right?
Yeah.
For the third, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
There are folks who follow cricket. Once it is in the Caribbean, they'll be following cricket.
They'll be following cricket.
Finally, before you go, our good friend Chenny threw a question out there. Question for the host: which one of the two of you believe your basketball game is better? What is your preferred position in the field? Chenny, I'm not going up against Julian. All I can tell you, Chenny, I know I'm better than you in basketball. That's all I'll tell you, Chenny.
My basketball was good. I was pretty good in high school. So I haven't played in a long time.
I'm a good shooter, Chenny.
But I'm a pretty good. Yeah, I'm a pretty good number two. Number two guard. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a number two guard. Yeah.
That's true, Chenny. And I know I'm better than you, Chenny. That's one thing.
Yeah.
This is not football.
And I certainly and I like our basketball out here is not. It's not the same as in the US, but certainly we are competitive for the standard that we have. Yeah. The US have the but we did. But I did win. But I did win a basketball championship for my high school. So certainly did. Yeah. So like I said, we've seen the change in sports in Grenada, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm really loving what I'm seeing. Like I said, for us, we love track and field, but it's not all about track and field. It's not only about track and field. The same kids who is running track and field is the same soccer player, is the same cricket player, is the same basketball player. So we can like them in track and field, but not like them in football and not like them in. So we have to love it all through, love the sport, and like I said, things are changing, things are happening for the youths. We're not talking about national on a national level. We're talking about the youths, which is that we want to see. We want to see change. We want to see a different attitude from them, where they actually getting the information from people who have made it, people who have been there. It's not coming from people who are just there. They're getting the information is coming firsthand, which is really what it is. The discipline in terms of what to do, in terms of how to do certain things. That's really good. I didn't see it.
He said he made his basketball team. private school basketball team. Luckily they don't play basketball in private school. All right, Chenny.
But they should
But
start
yeah,
bringing that back. Listen, and that's
no,
something
no,
like I notice is good. They have to bring these things back. They have to bring back
sports,
sports
competitive
like that,
sports at
competitive
in the
sports
private
from the elementary school. It has to be done. For girls basketball,
because there's
girls
no
soccer.
reason.
Those things have to come back. It
Yeah,
has to.
because there's no
Yeah,
reason you should just have track and field,
track and
right?
field. Yeah,
You need whether it's cricket,
yeah,
football, and someone we had on the program some time ago, and they were speaking about that they're making that plea for the reintroduction of competitive sports at the primary school level in Grenada. We
yeah.
need
It
to do
has to be. It
cricket,
has to come
football,
back. It has to come back. Yeah,
netball, all of that. That's
yeah,
only how
yeah.
you can't wait until those kids get into secondary schools, into high
They
schools.
can't.
To
But even though, Michael, you have the kids who they'll be just using track and field and soccer and football. Um, we do have the kids coming from the elementary school going to Form 1. They had to get it from somewhere. The elementary school had to be doing something so that when the kids get to that point,
yeah, yeah.
they're a
I,
team. They're good enough to run, good enough to do
yeah.
that, right?
As it is
So
now, it's only track and field, right? Right? Track and field.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
because we have the primary school, we have the parish, the zonal, all these sort of things in
yeah,
terms of
yeah, yeah.
in terms of
In
track
terms of that,
and
yeah.
field, right? And then some of them probably maybe in clubs as well, right? Because we have so many
As
clubs now.
clubs, as well, we have so many
What,
clubs building up
right.
now. Yeah,
Yeah, track and
yeah.
field clubs. What we need is to have a structured sporting program at the primary school level, right?
Yes,
At the primary
yes,
school level.
yes.
The
And
GOT,
not,
the
yeah.
Ministry of
They
Education, the
have to.
Ministry of
They have to.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. All they
you
have is
know,
a track and field that is sort of somewhat structured, and that's it. It has to be more structured. It has to be more
yeah,
structured. Yeah.
yeah. All right, thank you very much, Rudian. All the
That was a
best.
pleasure. Until we
Yeah,
see again, we'll
yeah,
talk.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much.
having me. All right
Yeah,
then. Bye.
yeah. So that's Rudian Sylvan live in Toronto, Canada. And thank you very much, folks, for being part of our program. Looking forward to your company next weekend, God's willing, for another program. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.